Welcome to the Institute of Strategic Policy Solutions, or as we prefer to say, ISPS. My name is Kimberly Jackson. I'm the Executive Director of the Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions, and it is an honor to host you from our St. Petersburg College Seminole campus via Zoom and Facebook Live. ISPS is our college's think tank, initially created by Congressman Bill Young and dedicated to nonpartisan discussion on issues that impact policy. Today, our program is dedicated to the many individuals who serve our country and our veterans. I have the pleasure of introducing two humble servants who truly do not need any introduction, but that is Congressman Gus Bilirakis and Congressman Charlie Crist. Congressman Bilirakis is a longtime advocate of veterans and their families. He serves on the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Veterans Affairs Committee. He is the ranking member of the VA Economic Opportunities Subcommittee and a member of the VA Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs Subcommittee. Congressman Bilirakis has demonstrated his dedication, legislative transparency, and to ensuring veterans receive quality and timely care, and we thank you for that, sir. Congressman Charlie Crist is our state's 44th governor, and thank you for being here. He equally has a strong commitment to service and support for our veterans. In our community, he has personally hosted several large events for our veterans where he listens to their needs, gives them a platform, and provides an annual Veterans Resource Expo. As a member of the House Appropriations Committee, Congressman Crist approved the largest VA budget in history. We also thank you for your time here today. We also have the pleasure of hosting our chairs, who do a wonderful job in advocating for veterans' needs. Since 2007, Frank Ciccolo served as the chairman of Veterans Advisory Committee for Congressman Gus Bilirakis. He has quite an impressive resume. He was an infantryman and a ranger from 1966 to 1970. He served in Vietnam as part of the troop buildup for the TET offensive and received 3 Purple Hearts. Thank you. In 2011, Frank was selected to receive the National Civilian Marksmanship Program, CMP, Patriot Award, and he is an active member of several veteran service organizations and spends hundreds of hours each year assisting veterans in our community. We appreciate your time. Finally, but not least, retired Lieutenant Colonel Carol Barkalow graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point and served in the U.S. Army for over 22 years. She is a published author, military commentator, and co-founder of the nonprofit organization Heaven on Earth for Veterans, Incorporated. The nonprofit focuses on providing safe and affordable housing for military veterans in need, which I can honestly say our students here at SPC appreciate. Ms. Barkalow agreed to chair Congressman Charlie Crist's Veterans Advisory Board in 2018. Before we transition to the questions from both chairs, we're going to have brief comments, first from Congressman Bilirakis and second from Congressman Charlie Crist. And with that, we thank you. Congressman, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning to all. And good morning, Kim. You do an outstanding job, and we appreciate the sacrifice because the fact that you were in the private sector and now working in the public sector, helping out our true American heroes, our veterans, and others, and I look forward to working with you in the future on these issues. Again, the Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions, I want to thank them for hosting this important event. I love that the fact that SPC is so committed to our veteran community and to raising awareness among the entire student body regarding the issues facing our heroes. I also want to thank the veterans who serve as members of the Congressman Governor Charlie Crist Advisory Committee. Thank you so much, Carol, for what you do. These advisory committees, we take them very seriously, and they do an outstanding job. Most of the legislation that we put on the floor, it comes from our advisory committees, so we appreciate it so much. I know you have spent countless hours, as I said, working together to ensure that we have meaningful, bipartisan, veteran-informed dialogue about the issues impacting veterans and their families. Since being elected to Congress, I've always dedicated myself to serving as a voice for veterans and I'm committed to ensuring they receive the benefits that they are due, and we need to take care of our veterans and their families. I'm proud of the progress we've made during my tenure, but I believe there's much more work that needs to be done, particularly in the areas of improving the transition process, addressing suicide rates, and improving mental health treatment options, combating homelessness as well, and ensuring that those exposed to toxic chemicals are able to obtain benefits. I think that is the Agent Orange of our era. I will continue to fiercely advocate for all of those who proudly served in our nation's military. It is, after all, the very least we can do to honor their sacrifices, and I've made it my top priority in the United States Congress. Thank you for being here today. I look forward to learning from you, all of you, and to identifying key areas that we can tackle to help improve the lives of veterans and their families. So thank you very much, Kim, for having us here, and I look forward to answering questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman. Please.
Thank you, Kim. And let me echo the comments of my friend Gus Bilirakis, and thank you for your service. And as he said, leaving the private sector to serve, we know a little bit what that's about, don't we, Gus?
Yeah,
and
sure do.
but it really is special that you've done so. So thank you for hosting us this morning, and thanks to SPC. I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come together during this difficult time in our nation's history to discuss the issues and concerns that impact our veterans here in Pinellas County. I believe that the Congressman and I have the honor and opportunity to serve about 90,000 veterans here in Pinellas County, and it really is a privilege, as he said. Obviously, this meeting looks a little bit different than ones we've held in the past, but I'm so grateful, as I said, to St. Petersburg College. The St. Petersburg College and the Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions for allowing us to meet here in person today. And I also want to deeply thank my fellow congressman and my dear friend, Gus Bilirakis. I've known Gus and his family for years, probably since I was a kid, and have the pleasure of being a fellow Greek. And I got to tell you, those of you in Pinellas County, I think we're very fortunate to have somebody like Congressman Bilirakis on the Veterans Committee. It's a position of honor and of great importance because of the number of veterans that we have in Pinellas County. And so when it comes to the needs of men and women who've served our country, there's no room for politics. And the Congressman and I agree about that. As you probably are aware, he's a Republican, I'm a Democrat. We're Floridians and Americans first, however. And the issues that we talk about today and talk about, no matter how it relates to our veterans, are beyond partisan politics. They're American policy. And I'm very proud of the working relationship I have with Gus. He's on a Veterans Committee, as I said. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. It's almost a perfect blend so that, we get a 1-2 punch, if you will, when it comes to fighting for veterans, fighting for additional funding, and it's an honor to work with him. Given the significance of the threat of COVID-19 possesses to the health and well-being of our nation's veterans, that mission is more important now than ever. We couldn't do this without the efforts of our Veterans Advisory Boards, and so I want to thank both the chairs again for your tremendous service there. Your insight truly is invaluable to all of us. And I'm grateful for these opportunities to hear directly from proven leaders like yourselves. I want to thank my chair, Carol Barkalow. She is a special person, and all the honored members of the board that serve both Congressman Bilirakis and myself really serve as our eyes and ears to our fellow Pinellas citizens and how we can better serve them, the challenges that they're facing, which we will discuss this morning, and how we can improve things and get through this challenging time for all of our country. I'm eager to continue working with Frank. Really have enjoyed the relationship, and of course with Congressman Bilirakis on the Veterans Advisory Board. You serve so well, of which I am proud to say we've seen some exciting progress on. I'm lucky to have a friend like Gus across the aisle that I can work with to get things done for our veterans. And through my role serving on, as I said, on appropriations, I think it makes a very good team to do everything we can to make things better for our veterans. In fact, for 2020, we passed our largest budget in the VA in the history of our country, and I'm very proud of that. And Kim, you were kind enough to mention it. I'm excited for the opportunity to build on what we've done to create even more meaningful change. But before we get started, I want to drive home the importance of safety during these unprecedented times. We are at least 6 feet apart,
Yes.
or we would have our masks on still. But it's important to wear your mask when you're in closer coordinates with other citizens and in larger groups. So please bear that in mind. A great number of our veterans are elderly, and many have underlying health conditions that make them even more vulnerable to the worst effects of this virus. Please do right by them and keep them safe by doing our part to help us get through this crisis together. With that, I'll turn it back over to the chairs, or however you designate Ms. Kim, our leader, and thank you all for letting us be here today.
Well, just briefly, I just want to say on behalf of St. Petersburg College and our many provosts, I want to thank them for their time in allowing us to do this. We have a lot of students who that you all serve, and we just appreciate what you do for them, which is one of the reasons we wanted to work with you. So with that being said, I'd like to say that the members of the board of the Tampa Bay Veterans have spent the last several weeks compiling a list of topics for this event, focused primarily on the effects and impact of COVID-19 and on local veterans, our local veterans community. The board chairs will open their discussion. The questions will go back and forth. After that, we'll have some questions that were presented by the students, and we'll finish up hopefully timely. And we thank you again for being here today and sharing this morning with us. With that, please go, Mr. Chicollo.
Before I start on my first question, I'd like to thank the commentary that gave such a beautiful introduction. And I'd like to thank Congressman Bilirakis and Congressman Chris being here today to try to help to get the veterans the benefits they deserve.
Yes.
During COVID-19, what is the VA doing to ensure safe and effective access to all veterans to their VA health care? How can these efforts be improved?
And I believe that question
Yes.
is
Yes,
for
that's for
me.
you.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you do. Really, you've been with me since the inception, since 2007, since I was elected to Congress. And we worked together while I was in the legislature as well, and I couldn't do it without you. 3 Purple Hearts, really incredible. You are a true hero, sir. And thanks for what you do on behalf of our nation's veterans. Frank, we need, first of all, I'd like to hear from my veterans on what they need, because I can't put myself in their place. But since I do serve on the committee, we get a lot of testimony from veterans, but also from the VA. It's more important to hear from our veterans. And the VSOs do an outstanding job. With regard to health care, I will say this, the telemedicine has worked real well, from what I understand, from my veterans, and we need to expand that, and we need additional funding. And Charlie is right. I call him Charlie because we've known each other since childhood, but the congressman is correct. The VA committee works in a bipartisan fashion. That's why I think we're doing pretty well. And I serve as a ranking member on the Economic Opportunity Subcommittee. But I'd like to hear from veterans on what we can do better. As far as healthcare is concerned, the telehealth, the telemedicine, the VA is way ahead of the rest of the country, because we started this early, very early, prior to the COVID-19, of course. And it seems to be working well. I've asked the questions in the VA committee. But I want to open up these outpatient clinics. And I hear from my veterans on a daily basis that they don't want to go to Haley all the time. They don't want to go to Bay Pines all the time. We have great outpatient clinics, and they're getting even better. And I know that they're semi-open for certain specialties. I asked the question, every time I get on the line with the the secretary of the VA, Mr. Wilkie, on when we're going to open up, when are we going to open up? People they should have a right. Now, telemedicine is good, and we are doing telemedicine, but people have a right to see a physician face to face. So that's an issue. We need more funding. We need more funding. We need more funding that goes toward homeless veterans. The per diem needs to be increased, and then also there are also other things like, for example, transportation, food to support in addition to the per diem for homeless veterans. We have St. Vincent de Paul here in our area. They do an outstanding job, but it needs to be properly funded. Charlie is right. We have increased the funding for many years, to be honest with you, about a 70% increase. But during the COVID-19, it has to be more. Now, I will tell you, I have a bill with Congressman Levin, who's the chairman of the Economic Opportunity Committee, to increase the funding 3 times during this COVID-19. So times 3, raise it up, the per diem, but also all the other ancillary expenses that go along with it as well. So, I can talk forever, but I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'll leave it at that. Frank, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Well,
Okay.
after Congressman Chris.
Okay.
So the next question.
Again, I would like to echo what Frank said. I truly appreciate being here today. I think that everyone has found the first thing to make a change is communication. So opening up this communication to everyone has truly made a difference, and I again appreciate the work with Frank and the Congressman Bill Arakis' committee. And sir, thank you for allowing me to be part of this Veterans Advisory Committee. So with that, this crisis, COVID-19, has only exacerbated the lack of female mental health providers. Would Congress consider an incentive program to attract more trained professionals to serve our communities with needs related to PTSD and military sexual trauma?
Well, first, let me thank you, Carol, for your great leadership on our advisory panel and the great working relationship with Congressman Bill Arakis as Chairman Frank, and really appreciate the opportunity to try to get to solutions as quickly as we all can. But that's a great question, Carol, and I think that, we should do everything we can to provide absolutely the best level of specialized care to all veterans, especially during these times. When we need more mental health services to be available, adequate treatment for female veterans has been lacking in the past, as we know, and so now it's more critical than ever to step it up and do what's right. We should continue, I think, to encourage young women to serve our country, but only if we're able to stand by our promise to care for their wounds, both seen and unseen. Mm-hmm. We also have similar programs around the country already outside the VA to get health professionals where they can do the most good. And let me again agree with my colleague Gus. We have appropriated in the CARES Act this year $20 billion more already for the VA. And hopefully with that vast amount of funding and with his continued effort to triple the per diem, these are the kind of things that we should be doing, and I'm very proud to partner with such a good man to do them.
Got one more question here for you, Congressman. What is the VA doing to ensure that pending VA compensation and pension claims and/or appeals are continuing to be effective processing during the COVID-19?
Yeah, I'll answer that question. I want to expand on what Charlie said as well. Your mental health, VA mental health, is so very important. Not one size fits all. We've sponsored legislation in the past that has passed, and now we have alternative therapies, complementary therapies within the VA, and it's really doing great. And then if we're going to go outside the VA with community care, and that's part of the solution, it's community care as well. We don't want to tear down the VA. They're doing an outstanding job, and we're getting 2 new outpatient clinics, one in Pasco County and one in North Pinellas County in the near future. Frank, thanks for helping with that. But you know, we also have to, if we're going to use community care for mental health, we want to make sure that these mental health providers are trained, and they need to know with the military. It'd be preferable if we have veterans that are mental health counselors for our veterans. If not, then if the layperson is going to do it, they need to be trained properly to take care of our veterans. So we have the visible wounds and we have the invisible wounds, and we're doing our best. And the funding has been good. It's been very good. But during these difficult times, it needs to be increased. Okay, now as far as the claims, it's been a real problem, I think you know, and Frank is a VSO, and he'll probably expand upon this, but there are 200, we have a backlog now because of COVID-19 of 232,000 veterans. Andy Barr has a bill that I strongly support and will co-sponsor to take care of that, and hopefully that'll pass the House. He's from Kentucky. His wife just passed away, unfortunately. Carol Barr, 39 years old, and it's very, very sad, very sad. But yeah, but you know, we are using the telehealth and the acceptable clinic evidence to go through some of these claims, and that's been somewhat productive, but it's not good enough. Phase 1 begins to, as far as evaluating, phase 1 begins, actually it should be going on this month. They say in June, so it should be going on. There's an online tool, va.gov website, to let veterans know where specific exams have been resumed, and we're doing it based, of course, on if it's, you've got to take into consideration a veteran's health and the healthcare providers as well. During phase 2, all outpatient and inpatient disability exams will be able to resume, but at-risk populations would not be eligible to attend exams at this time. And then we have phase 3, and that will help everyone. So we're behind. It's not the VA's fault this particular time. It's COVID-19, but we've got to do better. We've got to do better, folks. And I know we will. And that's why we have this committee, this oversight committee in the House and the Senate to push the VA. And again, the outpatient clinics, I'm really disturbed that they're not open fully, but I will keep pressing the Secretary. Thank you. Frank, I don't know if you want to add anything on that, though, because you're a VSO guy and you do such a wonderful job. Okay, thank you.
And along with that, and the Congressman mentioned that there is truly a backlog with the VA in the benefits claims. So how can we ensure that the COVID-19 does not effectively cut off this lifeline we provide to eligible veterans who depend on those benefits to live?
Thank you, Carol. Now is a time when we have to redouble our efforts, frankly, to assure that veterans, that they will receive the benefits that they've frankly earned. As with the VA healthcare, members of Congress need to work across the aisle, especially during this crisis, to figure out where and how much money needs to be spent to make sure that no veteran goes without the resources promised to them upon signing up to serve our country, as both of you have done so admirably. It's my understanding that the VA has now transitioned to remote work and telework policies regarding many claims, but it is definitely something that requires oversight, as Congressman Bilirakis just mentioned, and dialogue with the VA directly, including the Secretary. And we'll be making sure they continue to serve our vets appropriately and with respect, as they should every day.
We're going to move on to community resources and support questions.
How is the VA working with state, local, and community resources regarding the issues of housing and food insecurity? What is the best way to connect these resources?
Well, we have provided the funding, And, you know, with respect to the HUD-VASH vouchers, Frank, it's a big problem in this area. All over the country, frankly, when the cost of living is very high, you have the voucher, but a lot of times it's not enough to pay the rent. But then what about, you know, the other ancillary issues, where the veteran has to take care of their family, food issues, clothing issues, what have you. So what we've done, and you know, the committee has worked quickly on this, and I really commend the chairman and the ranking member. What we've done is we've given the locals more flexibility. And like I said, that we want to increase the per diem for temporary housing. But we also need to increase the per diem, and I have a bill again with Congressman Levin from California to do that, where we increase the per diem for the HUD-VASH, but also, and that's what's happening in this area. For example, if there is enough, you know, with the voucher to pay the rent for a home for a veteran, they still don't have enough money to pay the utility bill, let's say. So we've increased that, and the locals are also, you know, of course, St. Vincent de Paul, again, does an outstanding job, but the locals also have money from the federal government through these grants to take care of all of our people. And I really think that our veterans should be, they should be the priority as far as this is concerned. So every county has roughly $2 million specifically to take care of the needs of our people. You know, at a minimum, that's just one particular grant program. So we have to work together in a bipartisan fashion, and we have to give the locals, the state and local governments, the flexibility, and that's what we've done so far. Thank you.
Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm just, it's been great to see the communities across the country get together and try to take care of this issue. People donating food, people volunteering, giving it out. But glad that that's happening, because there'd be a lot of people hungry.
Yeah, Frank, we have, and I'm sorry for interrupting,
please.
but we have, this is the #1 veterans area in the country as far as helping out our heroes through these nonprofits. They do an outstanding job. We are #1, and we really officially ranked #1, the Tampa Bay area. But giving these vouchers the flexibility, getting these grants for food, as I said, for communication, to pay for any type of utility, transportation needs, the basic supplies, in addition to the housing, particularly during these difficult times. Thank you.
I'd like to echo that. We have a strong community, which is a blessing. I serve on some of these nonprofits where we are serving the community, and they are appropriately using funds. And the beauty is we have so many volunteers who are doing it just because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
So, just say that.
True.
Okay, I'd like to just switch to child care. And something that's been come to the top during this crisis is the lack of child care for both veterans and the medical staff at the VAs. And the VA has struggled with this during normal times. So how can our community come together to ensure that people are able to treat our veterans at this critical time without having to worry about finding someone to take care of their children?
You know, you're absolutely right. This is an issue at the center of how this virus is impacting veterans and all of us, frankly. Without adequate child care, our health care system simply cannot function. Congress needs to act now in order to address the issue, but we can't necessarily wait for them, because sometimes we need to take the crisis upon ourselves. I wear these yellow wristbands every day, and it's a simple rule, but an important rule. It references the golden rule. And that rule, of course, says that we should do unto others as we would have done unto ourselves. In fact, it was one of the first messages by Christ on the Sermon on the Mount. at the Sea of Galilee in Israel. And, you know, if you take those things to heart and we reach out to our fellow man and woman, and how can we help them, especially when we're going through such a crisis as this one with this pandemic. Many times just neighbor helping neighbor can help. People volunteering to give child care to a neighbor, to a veteran, to a staffer at Bay Pines or Haley. Those are just so important things. It's just being a good human being. Mm-hmm. We don't always have to wait for the government to address every issue. We can take it upon ourselves. Of course, Gus and I represent the federal government for our community, and very privileged to be able to do so. And so we will continue to push forward. In addition to the $20 billion that already has been allocated, the bill that Gus referenced himself, and we'll just continue to stay on it day after day after day, because it has to be done, Carol. Thank you so much for raising the issue.
We're going to move on to some legal issues.
Another problem during this time is, what is the VA actually doing to assist veterans with evictions and foreclosures during COVID-19?
Yeah, in the CARES Act, as the Congressman alluded to, included much-needed federal eviction and moratoriums for tenants in federally supported properties. So that's good. And also Governor DeSantis put a moratorium on foreclosures statewide, evictions and foreclosures statewide. So, and there's a, you know, we're working with people that have VA loans as well. And they're not going to be evicted or foreclosed upon if they have a VA loan on the federal level. So, yeah, we've actually done a pretty good job with that. And then locally, if a veteran has an issue with the law, we have the veterans courts. I know you didn't ask that question, but you know what? This is a model for the United States. These veterans courts, these judges that handle these veterans courts, such as Sean Crane, he does an outstanding job in the 6th Judicial Circuit to give veterans help with that as well. So we pretty much done pretty well with that. We don't want to see any veteran evicted or foreclosed upon during this very difficult time, or ever. We don't want to see them foreclosed upon. If you have any issues, please don't hesitate to contact our office, and I'm sure the congressman here as well. My number is 727-232-2921, 727-232-2921. We have great caseworkers, as does the congressman. I tell you, Kristen is probably the #1 caseworker in the country when it has to do with veterans. So please don't hesitate to contact us. And then, of course, Frank is my eyes and ears here in the district. Thank you.
Is there anything that you can do to ensure more funds are received for veteran affordable housing? And is there anything you can do to support the nonprofits addressing veterans' homelessness?
Great question, Madam Chair. And this is an issue, frankly, that's near and dear to both me and Congressman Bilirakis. And you're right. Folks who are helping homeless veterans on the ground are really and truly heroes when it comes to this issue. Just last week, I had the opportunity to meet and deliver some face masks to some of our veterans living in a HUD-VASH property on St. Pete Beach. And I couldn't be more moved by the owner of the property and his generosity in helping these vets by their gratitude at a second chance in life, if you will. It's a great example of what I just touched on, the golden rule, just doing unto others as you would have done unto you. We need to do everything we can to empower individuals and organizations that are doing the hard work of helping homeless veterans. It's an issue we've been dealing with for years, as the congressman knows. Between my role on appropriations and his role on veterans, it's, I think, as I said, a blessing, really, from God that we have that opportunity and that humble distinction, if you will, to be able to come together and work together to address this issue head on. Thank you very much.
I think we have our last category for you all,
Yes.
which is legislative responses.
All right. How is Congress responding to veterans being transitioned to online learning in response to COVID-19? how are the veterans who rely on residential learning credits to determine their MHA and BAH payment rates being protected during this transition?
Well, we passed legislation immediately to solve this issue. Senator Moran led this legislation so that no veteran will be penalized. So they'll continue to receive, obviously, their GI benefits. They will not be penalized if they do all their courses online as opposed to brick and mortar. And of course, you know, the last few months, it's all been online for everyone. So, but I have a bill that I filed months ago before COVID-19 to make it a level playing field where a veteran can still take all their courses online permanently and still get the same amount of housing allowance as the veteran who takes the courses at brick and mortar. Right now, if you take one course, brick and mortar, and the rest of them are online, you get the full housing allowance. But if you take all your courses online, you don't get the total amount. And you know, in our area, we're kind of lucky because we have all these wonderful schools and universities and colleges such as SPC. I'm very proud to teach at SPC on Monday mornings, American National Government, the Tarpon campus. But everyone should have the opportunity. Maybe a veteran is disabled and can't get to a particular, you know, SPC or University of South Florida campus, and in some of the private schools as well. But he or she should be entitled to the full housing allowance, no matter what. And now, with moving online now, I think that there are going to be a lot of courses, even more so than prior to COVID-19. I think that you're going to see that probably 50% of the courses are going to be offered online now. So this is critical for our veterans. And we solved it for COVID-19, no penalty whatsoever, but we have to make it permanent now. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman.
My pleasure.
COVID has shown us that the VA cannot deal with a situation like this and remain a functional hospital. Is there any consideration in appropriating the amount of funds specifically necessary to equip the VA for the future?
Yeah, what I'm hearing over and over again is that while it makes perfect sense for the VA to take all necessary precautions to protect the patients from COVID-19, we have to come up with a solution that does not inevitably harm the care of veterans whose unique health care needs did not cease to exist just because of this pandemic, Carol. And so this is an issue that all of our hospitals are dealing with and are in extraordinary times, as we know. I am sure we're going to have hearings and reports on how the VA operates during these kinds of situations in the future, but we are still in this pandemic. And Congress is really focused on the current response. But as I mentioned before, with Gus and I on the committees that we are on, we have a unique opportunity, I think, to address this in a very positive way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we have covered most of your topics, and if that's okay, we're going to move on to student topics. Congressman, you really answered the first question, so I just wanted to make sure there was clarity before I moved and brought the second question to Congressman Charlie Crist, but that was about the housing. So you mentioned St. Petersburg College and these online classes and hybrids, and I wanted to say thank you because most of the students, when asked this question, are very frustrated that they can't always make it to a campus. We are very blessed. We have many beautiful campuses in the Pinellas County, as you know, but for whatever reason, even outside of COVID, it is challenging to have a face-to-face modality. And St. Petersburg College has done an amazing job, I think, of having online classes, hybrid classes, face-to-face classes, and different types of schedules to permit that. So just to be clear, you were discussing removing that difference in allowance. Is that accurate?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because I see this idea came from a roundtable that I had in East Pasco County with students, veterans, at St. Leo. College. And you know, a lot of veterans work or they take care of their families. And they should have the same amount of housing allowance as one who attends classes at the particular campus. So we're working really hard. It's a bipartisan issue. You know, the committee says we have to find the money. Well, I think this should be a priority. If we're going to spend money, we need to be spending it on veterans. That's my opinion. And we will find the money and we will pay for it. Again, it's a top priority of mine.
Thank you. So, Congressman, I have a separate question for you, and that's on virtual appointments. So the students want to know, would you support virtual appointments for vocational rehabilitation appointments? Because it's our understanding that because a lot of them are underemployed for whatever reason, they may not have the opportunity to leave their jobs. Their employers may not give them time off to take their appointments. As a result, they just might have conflicts, and COVID, of course, has impacted this greatly. It's exacerbated the problem. So they said virtual appointments would help alleviate those challenges and prevent communication issues with the VA as well when they're missing these appointments.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Yes, absolutely. Listen, if we're serious about getting through this crisis while doing the least harm to each other and to our economy, frankly, we have to use every tool in the toolbox to ensure that veterans are given every single opportunity to get meaningful employment. The VA has done a good job so far of extending telehealth services to veterans. Why not vocational rehabilitation as well? Just seems commonsensical to me.
Thank you. And I want to thank the students to take time, because when I was talking to them, they really explained why this impacts them so much. This one, I want to make sure that I understand it, because they said in light of COVID, would it be possible to restore the benefits for students who didn't have an opportunity to timely withdraw from courses before the deadline? So does the CARES Act provide that, or is there a different methodology?
We've taken care of that,
Okay.
that they would not be penalized for not withdrawing, you know, not meeting the deadline. And SPC has been a leader, even if we didn't do anything federally. I believe that SPC would allow these students to withdraw without any type of penalty, even though they missed the deadline. Yeah, it's a difficult situation, but I'm so proud of SPC because they handle everything. They're the leader in the country. It's the best college in the country as far as I'm concerned. I went to the University of Florida, but I also went to SPC for a year and been teaching there for many, many years. So I'm very proud. We have great leadership here. Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
So do some of our sister colleges in the area too, do you know if their students have challenges with this withdrawal issue?
They may have. I haven't heard of any. But I've heard that, you know, people have contacted our office with regard to SPC, and I know it was taken care of. So we don't want anyone to lose, any veteran to lose any portion of their GI benefits because of COVID-19. And they won't, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. So I think we only have a couple more questions. This one was about federal workers. Is it possible to allow VA federal workers, employees, to work from home or volunteer with other VA registered entities and still receive benefits and income for 40 hours a month? And this, again, is in light of COVID, being able to have flexibility based on the structure of how the law is created.
Absolutely. Before I answer that, Kim, though, I want to echo the comments of my friend, Congressman Bilirakis, as it relates to the colleges and universities in Florida. He mentioned that he went to the University of Florida. I went to Florida State University, but I also took classes at SPC during the summer. And, you know, and my sister works at St. Pete College, and I'm very, very proud of her achievements here in the administration. So that having those kinds of institutions available to veterans to further expand their opportunities for growth and additional education is a huge benefit that we have here in the Sunshine State, and very proud of that. To your question specifically, I think we should be as accommodating as possible to people who are able to make the VA continue to run, but don't necessarily have, you know, the in-person opportunity to do it. And it seems to me that we already have come a long way in the transitional sizable parts of our workforce to telework. We need to get more agile and efficient. In my view, when it comes to doing the crucial work of providing care and benefits to our veterans consistently. I'm very concerned about the VA's telework and leave policies, especially people who tested negative, but who still have symptoms and whose doctor advises them to stay home because of the possibility of a false negative. And as we all have been reading in the local news, the incidents have only been increasing rather dramatically in positive testing. And so we have to be very mindful of what's happening here so that we don't get back into a situation where it just continues to grow and grow and grow. Taking care of our VA workers and keeping them from getting sick keeps our veterans safe as well. And it's still all about social distancing, as we discussed earlier in the panel. Thank you.
Definitely think it would be most helpful for students to have that opportunity to work from home because we value them and could use their work. And they have a particular niche, of course, in understanding other veterans' needs. So we would welcome that. So finally, this is a question to you before we have any closing remarks that you all would like to say. Is it possible to open the VA on Saturday to accommodate students who work Monday through Friday and cannot make their appointments? This was an important question because a lot of the students said it would alleviate their visits to Bay Pines for non-emergency issues.
If that's what the students want, that's what they'll get. Because we have great directors at Haley and Bay Pines, and they listen to us. And Charlie's right. This is kind of a tradition because my dad was on the authorizing committee for years as a member of Congress in North County. So he was the vice chairman of the VA committee. I have been vice chairman now. I'm in the minority, but I'm a ranking member. And then also Congressman Young was the appropriator on VA issues. So it really does make a good team, and it's a bipartisan effort. I think that if they want the Saturday appointments, we'll work really hard to get them. They should have access to everything. The telehealth, I think it's going really well. We need to expand it. And apparently the satisfactory rate is really good. But veterans should have choices.
Yes.
And then the telepsychiatry, it's that, people have to have access, particularly our veterans who may have PTS or TBI, and they need those services. They may be comfortable getting those services in their own home, but they have to have the technology. So it's all about choice, and care in the community is part of the puzzle as well. So I think we do a good job here in the area, but there's always room for improvement. Nationwide, not as much, not so much in certain areas, but we're working on that too. Now, my priorities, and we've talked to Frank about this, and I'd like to work with you, Charlie, on this. I want to see, and it won't be in my district, okay, but it doesn't matter. It'll be in the Tampa Bay area. I want a Heroes Ranch. And a Heroes Ranch would be for severely wounded veterans who need long-term care. I don't want to see them in a nursing home. And this would be outdoors. There would be complementary therapies, and of course, but you want it, of course, close to the hospitals. For emergency purposes. And I talked to Haley the other day. We tried a few years ago and were shut out by the leadership. But Haley is ready to go again. So we want this Heroes Ranch so the families are comfortable visiting their loved ones, but also the respite care is so very important because the caretakers, it's very difficult for them. So it's good for them to have a break and the veteran go there if he or she likes to go there. Now, these are severely wounded veterans. They need the long-term care. But I want it to be a ranch where you have horses and fishing, and Haley is definitely committed to it. Bay Pines may be too. The other thing I want is I want something like San Diego has, and it's called Veterans Village, a one-stop shop where a homeless veteran can go there, sign a contract, and get the help that they need financially, what have you, the training, the vocational training that they need to get a job, but also any services, mental health services, what have you, and they would be working with the hospital. But you know, these things, they're dreams, you know, but they can be accomplished if you work hard enough and you have the right people, like Frank and Carol. It could get done, particularly in this area, because there's so many, you know, it could be a public-private partnership, because we have so many wonderful people that help our veterans. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo the comments, Gus, and I want to commit here and now to help you with the Heroes Camp idea. I think it's fantastic, the ranch. You know, what better allocation can we make than to help, you know, veterans who need that sort of long-term care in an environment that we in Florida are able to provide because of the beauty that we're surrounded by, whether it's fishing or horseback riding or whatever they have the ability to do, of course, but to get that care that you suggest. I think it's a dream. I think it's a wonderful dream. And I commit to help you as in any way I can.
Well, I have a vision there, and possibly bringing the Olympics here. You know, the veteran Olympics here, and it's just something that, you know, I envision because of the climate, and everybody wants to be in the Tampa Bay area. Now, don't get me wrong, we can have a veterans village or a heroes ranch near every polytrauma center in the country, and there are 5 of them. That makes a lot of sense too. So we want to help out not just our constituents, but all our veterans nationwide. So that's a dream of mine, and I hope to accomplish that before I finish in Congress. But I really appreciate the Congressman Chris' willingness to be. You can be very helpful with the appropriation. So thank you. Thank you.
And to the Saturday opportunity for students, I think, you know, why not? Right. Gus gets it right. And we, I think, both understand that our job is to work for the people that we serve. We're just servants. Yeah. You know, we're to be public servants. And I and Gus know who the boss are. And it's the people, of the people, by the people, for the people. And those are profound words that we need to remember each and every day. And if I could just give some closing brief remarks. I want to thank you, Kim, again, so much for hosting us and moderating us so admirably. And of course, Carol and Frank, you've done an extraordinary job. Continue to look forward to working with you and being our eyes and ears to our wonderful veterans here in the Tampa Bay area. It truly is a blessing, and with God's grace, we'll continue to do that and find more solutions as we go along. And with that, I thank you again. God bless you.
Did you have any closing remarks that you wanted to say, Carol?
Again, as I said in the beginning, our way forward is through communication. And so having events like this really opens up more questions, more answers, and better support and benefits for veterans. So thank you very much.
Frank, did you want to say anything?
I'd like to thank Carol, Congressman Chris, and Congressman Bilirakis for being here to try to help the veterans get the benefits they deserve. But one day I would like to see the VA become one whole. Right now they have 3 divisions, VHA, VBA, and cemetery, and each one doesn't know what the other's doing. So hopefully one day they'll be on the same computer.
Yeah, that's something we need to work on. The IT is very important in the transition from DOD to VA. Very sadly, it's not working the way it should, and our veterans are suffering for it. So, in any case, there's a lot of work to be done, as you can tell, but we have made a great deal of progress on behalf of our veterans. And I want to thank, of course, Carol, Colonel, and the Congressman, and also Kim and Frank. We couldn't do it without you, and you found a way to do it, Kim. Hopefully next year we'll be able to do it face-to-face, and the veterans can ask the questions face-to-face. But this was, I think, hopefully it was very informative for veterans. And if they want to elaborate on some of these questions or ask additional questions, we have our staff here as well. They can always contact us at our office. So please don't ever hesitate. We're here for you.
I want to
Thank
say,
you.
as a longtime resident, I appreciate both of you all. We see you in the community. We see you working. We see you shuffling back and forth, but not just being here, but being present in our community. And that is recognized in the community. I think many people share that. So thank you both for taking your time to make this a priority, not just to talk to the general public, but to talk specifically to our community who really wants to hear your voices at this time when there's just so much apathy about COVID and what's going to move forward. So thank you for that. Thank you both for the chair work you do and for coming here. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our college, Dr. Tandra Williams, and my provost, Mark Strickland, for allowing us to have this space today. And also, I'd like to thank our fabulous tech team that just got my attention by blinking something. I want to thank them. They work very hard. They're often not recognized, and I want to thank them. And finally, I want to say, Congressman Bill Young created this, and you guys probably worked with him at one point or another. ISPS is supposed to be this forum, and we want to host you when you want to have conversations about how to collaboratively work. We are a neutral ground for you to come and bring your concerns, to hash out legislation, to talk about issues, and as you said, to come up with solutions. So with that, thank you so much for your time today, and I appreciate you all.